Okay, we're recording.
Thank you. I'm going to mute myself now.
So here's a chance for you to pick my brain and get all the answers that you may or may not have wanted about this program. It's actually, pretty generous in terms of funding, and we just keep plugging away, helping the kids that need us the most. Oh, you may be muted.
Yeah.
Take yourself off mute. There's a little control there, microphone down at the bottom, and you can unmute yourself to go ahead and do a verbal, or you could type in the chat. Either way will work.
This is Jenny, and I have a specific question about the previous grantee form, Vic.
Okay.
We served additional students not through the funds we received from the grant, but that grant allowed us to galvanize private dollars and partner so that we were able to serve additional children through our summer program, Kids on Course University.
Mm-hmm.
May we include the numbers of those students that we served using those private dollars in the attendance with the previous grantee form?
Yeah, because it was done with a partnership.
Great. Okay.
And that's one of the things with this grant. We absolutely require you to have some partnerships in your community to keep this thing going. I mean, that's been from the very beginning. And we've been in Iowa really working on developing these community partnerships, and we've got around 800, more than any other state in the country. But you know how Iowa is with community. And that's a good thing for kids. It's not always an easy thing because schools are not used to partnering. But in the long term, I think it's good for everyone.
Okay, that's that's wonderful. My second question also relates to the previous grantee form. We assessed our students in a variety of ways.
Mm-hmm.
And the testing preference changed midway through the grant. And we were testing reading and writing data in addition to what we had listed as our academic goals in the APR.
Mm-hmm.
May we include that additional testing that we did when it comes to?
Put it in the narrative. That's anything you can do to prove that you've had a successful previous program is allowable. It would go also in your local evaluation.
Yep.
But that's not something that, that's something usually I'm the only one reading it. And we'll have a meeting about that local evaluation. But yeah, certainly put it in your narrative. I'd like you to have the best possible shot at getting funded.
Okay, wonderful. The specific question though on the previous grantee form about meeting goals.
Mm-hmm.
Did you meet your academic goals for the past 2 years? Is that strictly academic goals, or may we include, when we answer that question, may we include the other assessments that we used?
Well, any of the assessments are measuring academic goals.
Okay.
And sometimes, we can't control the assessments that are being offered, and there's no specific after-school assessment yet.
Mm-hmm.
And so we piggyback off the state assessment, maybe a FAST assessment. There's a variety of them out there. We'll accept them all. Whatever one you're doing, we'll accept it because we're just trying to get a little pulse on how the kids are doing. Are they improving? The key is, are they improving? We're not so much looking at proficiency, although that's in the APR reporting.
Mm-hmm.
We're more interested in growth.
Great. Okay.
That's where we get significant change. I mean, a child can have an entire year growth, but maybe they were 2 years behind in terms of proficiency. We still did a heck of a job helping that child.
Yep. Okay. Well, great. So as we answer that question then on that previous grantee form, if we answer yes, is there a need to provide explanation in that form, or should that be included as part of the narrative? Because I think
Well,
it's just a yes or no.
it probably did. It probably is. There's a lot of questions in there that are yes or no. And another point to that form is to avoid supplanting, because of the fact that it is a requirement for sustainability, having some documentation that you are sustaining part of that grant, you do have partners, and you've been making some progress, provides evidence that, we can say, yeah, absolutely, there's no supplanting going on in Iowa.
Okay.
And,
Thank you.
I actually talk with my federal program officer about all of these things before we even put them in there, just to make sure that we're right on the money where we should be.
Okay.
Because when I started this program, the state was in non-compliance, and that's not a good place to be.
Ooh.
Yeah, and I had about 60 days of very difficult work dealing with
Oh
them
my
and
goodness.
getting things straightened out the way they wanted it in. But after that, it's been pretty smooth sailing. We've been fixing things up every year, and now we're their golden child.
Well, that's a good spot to be.
Yeah,
That's
they use
great.
Iowa in two areas when they train other states that are new. One is our monitoring, and the other, I believe, it's our evaluation.
Oh, wow. So a simple yes with a asterisk and an explanation in that form. If we are using those other measures, is that acceptable? Or how, I guess I'm wondering how to present that information so accurately in the form.
Your narrative is the big thing. You'd be surprised how many people are reapplying for funding, and their narrative sounds like they've never had funding before. And those are the ones that are going to lose points. If you've done a good job, toot your horn.
Okay, great.
Those reviewers do not know you other than they're reading you what's in your narrative.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Sure. Okay, who else wants to ask some questions? Let's get you.
Man, I'm so used to just talking. From a sustainability standpoint, I know like years 4 and 5 with this, the goal is to have funding outside of this grant. Typically, what does sustainability look like? Because what I want to get this for our kids. We have some high needs, especially in our elementary buildings, but I don't want to put us in a position where we do some great things and then get it yanked. So from a kind of a long-term picture, what expectations are there for sustainability, and what do I need to be working on right away to start getting those in place?
Okay, well, in the past, what happened with this is you got a 25% reduction, and then year 5, you had a 50% reduction. And what we've done is it's consistent. I think 25% in years 4 and 5 is reasonable. And there's also going to be a meeting with your community partners before the change actually takes effect. I've got some really rural areas, and they've been able to find partners by kind of thinking outside of the box. I mean, there are agencies you can partner with churches. Every community in Iowa has a wealth of available partnerships. Now, that being said, it takes a little bit of legwork. You got to call them, Maybe go to, meetings, if you've got a Kiwanis Club, they're a great partner, Lions Club, all of these, community groups, all of them have an interest in helping the children succeed at school. And here's another thing too, is we provide unprecedented support in Iowa. So, if you're having a community group meeting and you want me to do a virtual, I'm happy to do that. I'll go to board meetings in the evening. Anything that we can do to help support these programs for kids. So I don't want you to feel that you're, on your own, although to some degree you are.
No, but I mean, just the start, I really appreciate, the 3 years of funding to start gives us that time to show that it's working, to secure that. The other question I had, and I'll full disclosure, I have not opened many of the documents. With the, obviously we're looking at, 5 days a week, 3 hours a day, kind of that 60 hours for the month.
Yep.
What do most groups do? Do they tend to be 3 hours after school? Is it split before and after school? And do all kids need to attend the full time? What are some of the expectations just as we start to put stuff together?
Well, I'm not going to nickel and dime you on if you run a program in the morning and in the afternoon, you might get an hour in the morning for serving breakfast and doing a little bit of a program, and then you do 2 hours after school. If a kid, doesn't attend breakfast but doesn't attend after school, I'm going to let you count them. We're dealing with at-risk kids with chronic attendance issues. Some of them have behavior issues, and this is a really difficult situation, and it's not going to change overnight. I understand this. So the thing is to try to run the program so that the kids want to come. And when I visit, I'll talk to the kids, and a lot of them say, hey, that's why I come to school now, is because of that after school program. And it's great for them because they do fun things, and they're still learning and reconnecting. That's another one of our goals, is to reconnect these kids before they get too far out and they give up on school. We see that happening in middle school and high school.
Then kind of a follow-up to that, what level of detail is needed? You had mentioned when we talked the other day that there's a lot of support in the planning over the spring, which is why I'm on this call, because like you said, we're doing it on our own, but you provide a lot of support. What level of detail is needed in the initial grant? I mean, is it, here's our daily schedule, here's all the activities, or is it, here's what we want to accomplish and we're going to work towards it?
Well, we're going to ask you to come up with a preliminary budget. However, when you get the funding, you're going to probably want to need to do some changes. And every quarter you can make line item adjustments. When I do my first visit, I'm going to ask you about a calendar, because I'll be checking on that 60 hours a month. I don't expect you to put that in the initial application. The initial application is a plan, kind of like a business plan. And it's mostly a summary too, because we have page limits, so you don't get too carried away.
Come on, I'd never do that. Not coming from academia, we'd never go too long. And then, another thing I was thinking, I know a program that we used pretty successfully a couple of years ago was things like, it was called Crazy Eights, and it was just a math engagement and learning type thing. Obviously that would be part of it, but my understanding is, and if I'm wrong, I wouldn't want to do this, we're not just having the kids extend the school day and do a bunch of worksheets. I mean, this should be lots from our company. It should be lots of different things. It should be physical health, emotional health, yes, working on some core strategies and I think, yes, some mentoring and some tutoring, because obviously the kids we're thinking about, they're not going home to get the academic support. You know, we want to get that taken care of before they leave us at the end of the day. So when they do go home to mom and dad, that's not where we're asking all that stuff to get done.
Correct. We have a big list of things you can do, but our priority is literacy number one, and then math number two. And that's what we report to Congress, our progress in literacy and math. So obviously, you know, that's got to be your focal points. But sure, social emotional learning is very important. Physical activity is important. Cooking club is one of our favorite things across the state. Kids love to learn how to cook something because a lot of times they go home and that's all they have is a bag of chips. That's not good. Hy-Vee is a good partner. If you've got a Hy-Vee nearby, they have nutritional folks that'll come out and maybe a couple times a week and do a session with the kids. A lot of times they'll be bringing out, you know, bananas, apples.
Yeah, that's, as soon as you said that, I've got that written down. We have, we're really lucky. We have some great community partnerships already for different areas. And that's what I want to leverage, not overusing them. But there's some key components, you know, like something like that, where again, that's their expertise.
I'm going to jump in here for just a second and draw your attention to the chat box. So to your question about partnerships, please know that the Iowa After School Alliance can also be helpful to you in that regard. We have a list of current grantee partners on our website that it will actually be updated for the 2019-2020 school year very soon. We're still in the process of collecting those. So you can search partnerships by geographical region. And if you're looking for something in particular, never hesitate to reach out to me, and I'm happy to help make some of those additional connections where that's concerned. I also wanted to point out that I put the link where you can find last year's past grant applications that were successful, in that it's the 21cclc.com/grant info. At the very bottom of the page is where you'll find last year's successful applicants. If you wanted to pull up their applications and just kind of peruse and see what types of information they included, that might be beneficial all the way around.
Yeah, when you send us an application, it's a public document and we will post it online. Because rather than a freedom of information request, I get a lot of things from universities and things, and I just point them to that archive site we've set up, and it's a lot easier. Plus, you guys have access to everything for your own research. We're pretty transparent here.
Yes. There's also an archive section, a link that I can drop in as well. And that's several years of information. So I just went with the most recent because I thought perhaps that might be a little more user-friendly at the moment. Although you can also search the grant archive, and I'll drop that link right now.
Now you got about 2 weeks, I think, to get the letter of intent in, and that's basically a survey where we get some demographic information about what your program, the kids you're going to serve, and things like that. And that saves you from writing a formal letter.
Much appreciated. Now, here'd be another question. I was actually pleasantly surprised. I look at us starting with our elementaries.
Okay.
You know, I want to start small. Got very positive response from all 4 elementary building principals. Would doing that survey, I mean, my thought is starting with 2, but my question would be, you know, how have other communities maybe dealt with that when they've had to, choose? Because I think there's probably going to be a desire from people around the district to possibly be involved, but
well, you want to make it manageable.
Yep.
So I think 2 is a good idea to do, and then next year you can apply again for another 2.
Mm-hmm. And then with that, because obviously I don't want to overtax my principals who are already working long hours stuff. Do most of these programs, I don't want to say hire somebody, but identify someone that really is kind of in charge of the day-to-day?
Yeah, there's usually a building coordinator, and we're so flexible that what you can do, I mean, the program's only running 20 hours a week. So, you know, it doesn't make sense to hire a full-time person in each building for that. But what you can do is say you get a couple of teachers that are wanting to get involved in the program, you could make them share that responsibility, coordinating the activities and things like that, and pay them extra for
Yep.
those hours. And plus you can pay them IPERS too on there. So it's another selling point. Hey, you get a little extra IPERS in there.
Yep. Well, and then I think about aspiring administrators are always good ones too, that are looking for, you know, the administrative type experiences and opportunities to do that.
Yep.
Becca, I just have one question,
Okay.
hypothetical.
Uh-oh.
On the budget and stuff, our grant writer and I are trying to figure out exactly how to, you know, put the numbers in. Again, this is just a complete hypothetical. So for example, if when we do that budget or funding estimator between the number of kids and the number of days, it comes out to 100,000, just hypothetically.
Okay.
Now then, do we have to subtract in-kind and contributions from that too? And then that would
Yep.
be our total budget?
Yep. Plus, if you had previous funding, let's say you had 100,000 to start last 5 years and you were down to 75,000. 75,000 is the max you're going to get. You should have that level of sustainability moving forward. Yep.
Okay.
I have what I think will be a very easy question. Is there an MOU template? I am having trouble locating that.
Crystal, do you know where that MOU template is? I thought we had one.
Yes, it's in the instruction packet. And Jenny, I'm trying to pull it up right now, but I believe it's Appendix N, as in nut.
Did you use that for me specifically? Appendix N.
No, I used it because I was not military and I didn't know what
Oh, okay.
for that was.
And that may be why I'm having difficulty with it. When I look at the application packet, or maybe I'm only seeing through Form H.
Look in the instruction packet, Jenny.
The instruction packet, not the application packet. Okay. That's where I'm missing it. You said N.
I believe so. And I think actually the military speak is Nancy, now that I think about it.
Okay. And this is related to that. If we are applying for competitive priority because of a targeted, comprehensive or targeted school on the Iowa School Performance Profile, part of what we need to complete in order to document that is an MOU, or joint applications MOU. If the MOU that we're using, the template is included, is that sufficient for the documentation? Or do we need, I guess once we have an MOU and those signatures, does that cover these additional pieces?
It should.
Okay.
Well, it's 5 bonus points.
Yep. Okay.
And again, Vic, correct me if I'm wrong, but our MOU template is just simply to provide people an idea of the type of information that we would like to see. If somebody has an existing template that also covers those pieces of information, they're absolutely welcome to use that. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay,
Great, thank you. That helps me out. I didn't know if that was something that was flexible or if that was a required document that we were to use.
yeah. Nikki, are you able to hop on now?
She's
Nikki
got a
had reached out
question in
to
the
you.
chat here.
Yeah, okay, yeah,
About the
perfect, thank
D3
you.
form. That D3 form is a 5-year budget projection, so that you can plan a little bit longer term. That helps align us with federal grants in general that all require a 5-year budget. But technically, we're using that form D1 and D2, and the D2 is a spreadsheet, and that's going to be your claim spreadsheet. And what you're doing is you're making an estimate. Your grant proposal has a lot of estimates in there, and Form D3 is also estimated, but it can be useful when you're updating your sustainability plan every year. You go back to that Form D3 and you can update it with new partners, new contributions, and things like that. So it was put in there to assist you. I took you off mute.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay, sorry. Well, my computer, for some reason, our school district is with Zoom. I don't know. They do everything through Google Meet. So sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. But so I know we only have to do year 1 of the D3, correct? Because it says only submit year 1 with your grant application because
Yeah, the rest of it is for you to, use for planning moving forward.
okay. So my question with this, because I have like the student program and the family literacy, I have those sections done.
Mhm.
I kind of understand the partner area because at the bottom it says that we should use to calculate the partner amount. So going back and looking at like the partners I know we're going to use at these 3 schools that I'm applying for, and I'm adding up their in-kind contributions.
Mhm.
That's what I'm doing in that area.
Yep.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
That
and
was my
we
question.
don't
That was
have
my
a
only.
criteria. Every local area might be compensating people at a different rate. So you use whatever your local compensation rate would be and include that.
Okay. Awesome.
This grant, a lot of grants require matching funds, and this grant does not because of that sustainability piece. So over the years, we've gotten a little bit better, and that's with, the feds helping us. I ask them all the time, what should we be doing in that? And I send them, our forms as we develop them, and hey, it's good to be on their good side.
Yeah. Okay. So, and then my other question, because I know in kind counts, but even if we're paying our partners, so say for example, we're applying for our 2 high schools and then we're tossing in one of our elementary schools.
Okay.
Can I look back at the last year at AL and TJ and say, well, we had this partner come in and this is what we paid for? I would also include that into the partner student program area.
Sure, you can always cite existing partnerships. That's what we want, is long-term community partners. And you guys have a lot.
Yeah, we
had,
do. This will probably take me a long time.
Over 100 partners, didn't you?
We have quite a few. Yeah. Yeah. It's a pretty good list.
Now, keep in mind, this
So I
year
really
we are down $1 million from last year. So that means I've got to employ that federal statute about equally distributing money to urban and rural across the state of Iowa. So will there be some adjustments? Yes, there will. But if you look over the years where I've made adjustments, it's always been pretty fair. I look at the number of kids you're going to serve, and if you're serving more kids, you're going to get a little more money than if you're serving fewer kids. So it's all based on how many kids are going to be getting services in your program. Any more questions?
I have just one simple one. The submission, we need to include a flash drive or CD-ROM or something as well as the.
You could email me the stuff electronically. However,
Okay.
it's your responsibility to make sure I get it. And since you have to mail in a hard copy, if you throw in a CD or a flash drive, then you're covered.
Okay, perfect.
But I will accept an email. But I would strongly suggest that if you send me an email with everything, follow up and say, did you receive it?
Okay.
Because they've got all these filtering systems out. They're trying to keep the spam down, and some districts, they've got a .com instead of a .ia.us.
Mm-hmm.
When they have that .com, the filtering system says, oh, it's a commercial.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. But you don't need a big flash drive. You can just you take a used one and reformat it, and it'll generally fit on a 1 or 2 gig flash drive. Any more questions?
Not right now, but that's why we have your email and phone number.
Yeah, that's true. If this was a live meeting, I could pass out some leftover Halloween candy, but unfortunately, it's a Zoom meeting.
Trust me, my kid got enough. I mean, they could call him Blackbeard with everything he scored over Halloween.
A lot of people just had the table and it was self-serve.
Mm-hmm. Although I will, and maybe the group will find this funny, but I think I'm going to send out next year the tiny little squares, the ones that are like itty bitty. While those are great for a staff meeting, I think those ought to be banned for Halloween trick or treating. Because if kids are going to march themselves all the way around there, they should at least give the real mini size candy. Not saying they have to give the full size, but those tiny little ones, when dad steals it out of his son's bag, that's just not going to cut it.
Testing the candy, of course.
That's right. I want to make sure he's safe. So, no, thanks everybody. I really appreciate it. And Crystal for dropping those examples. That's incredibly helpful for a person that doesn't navigate new things all that well. Just to have that now up on my screen, I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. I also put my email in the chat box too, in case you wanted to reach out regarding any of those partnerships or things of that nature.
I guess too, as a new person, I just want to thank you for being so available and having these meetings in order to answer questions and being available via email. It's just much appreciated when you're a newbie trying to navigate through all this. So thank you.
You're welcome. In fact, you know, we try to be Iowa nice.
Yes.
And we'll do everything we can to help your program be successful.
Yeah. And Jenny, I don't know if you just saw in the chat, but Nikki said that if you need an example of an MOU, go ahead and email her, and she dropped her email in there as well. So yeah, there you go. Okay. So folks, unless there's any other questions or anybody wants to add anything to the chat box, we'll have Vic send the recording to me. And Vic, if you can also send me the, I'll see if I can save the chat, but I don't know if I'll be able to here. What I'd like to do is I'd like to be able to post both the chat and the recorded question and answer session. It will be found on